here we are into the next chapter of From Nothing, Lorna's story, where you have just completed your first spell, and you've just managed to persuade Tabernac into letting you leave early in order to go spectate / supervise a sparring match between Lilith and Anscombe, your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so, without further ado, we return to the Marigard as you have left the wizarding classroom, and you are heading down the halls toward the fighter's classroom. Is there anything you'd like to do before you get there?
Nope. I'm just going right there, hoping I don't miss it.
Heading straight into the fighter's classroom, which I will activate here. One moment, please, as the music is louder than I thought it would be. As you enter the fighter's classroom, there are a number of individuals in here. Most of them you don't recognize. The same towering Goliath you first spoke to, with all sorts of very complex but also very tribal-looking tattoos across their body, and they are not wearing a shirt, because why would you? I guess if you are a Goliath fighter, you might as well show it off. And you have entered the classroom as the man is basically striding in front of the class, and it seems as though he's lecturing. And when you enter, he stops and looks at you, and he says, "Hello, can I help you?"
I'm actually just here to watch.
Ah. And you see Anscombe is standing at attention, as all the other students are, but he glances over at you, and you see he kind of smiles just a little bit and nods. A few students down, you see the pale form of Lilith, the tiefling that you remembered from the previous day, when all of this happened. So she is here. That's what she looks like. And I will post Anscombe where he is, roughly. And as this lecture is happening, they're going over tactics and the proper methods for different types of fighters to use their skills in a battlefield, and how they would use what skills they do have to the advantage of their team, pointing to a fighter similar in build to Anscombe, a very stocky-looking human wearing full plate armor. And Elrad says, "This contractor, they would spend their time at the front line, protecting their allies with whatever they could find. In most cases, their own shield, but in improvised battle, this would not be the case." And for the next 10 minutes or so, you're just taking in the lecture, basically.
Yeah. Do I learn anything?
Roll just a straight intelligence.
I'm pretty smart. Natural 20.
Okay. For a
I'm
25.
really good at learning. Yes.
You don't learn any skills, per se. But Lorna sees that there's a lot more to being a fighter than just hitting things. And from this brief lecture, from this brief just look at what Illarad is talking about, Lorna sees that when you don't have magic all the time, everything else is a tool at your disposal. This is the first step toward the tavern brawler feat.
Oh yeah! Can you imagine if she had the tavern brawler feat?
Which really, yeah, that would be interesting.
That would be so cool. Okay, I'll just make it a note.
Using improvised weapons is extremely valuable. However, at the end of the lecture, the time that you had been waiting for begins as the different students begin to pair off. And quickly, you see Lilith is marching toward Anscombe, and Anscombe looks at you, and he just kind of holds up a hand as if to say, I got it.
You'll give him a nod. Kind of just prop her back against the wall she's been leaning against and watch.
It is loud in here. I'd like you to make a perception check at disadvantage for me.
Okay.
A 13. Okay. There are some words exchanged between Lilith and Anscombe. They're hard to tell exactly what's being said. But you are pretty sure you pick up the phrase, fighting fair is all we ever do around here, from Lilith. You're pretty sure that's what she says from reading her lips. Why don't you roll an investigation check for me?
Okay.
Anscombe, 21. Anscombe is wearing exactly what you remember. He's wearing heavy armor that looks as though it's a little cumbersome, but he's comfortable in it. It seems as though he moves just fine. Lilith is wearing much lighter armor, and you see that on her belt is what looks like a shorter blade and then a dagger. So, just based on how light she is on her feet, you get the feeling these are two very different kinds of combatants that are about to have a bout. And the other students that are also in this room, they're having bouts as well. But none of them seem to be quite as charged as this one, as there is apparently a score to settle. And it doesn't take much. Your 21 does notice that some of the other students are also paying attention to this bout. Perhaps something really did happen the other day. Maybe with that 21 investigation, the sort of just energy around this, maybe there was more than what Anscombe let on.
I knew it. Kick her butt later.
That being said, I'm going to begin a combat between Anscombe and Lilith, and I'm going to allow you in the initiative as well in case you want to fuck with it, I guess. I'll put you here.
Hi.
Hello. I'm going to open roll their initiative so you can see exactly what they've got.
I don't see them.
Well, they're in the combat order. So
yes.
Lilith is going to
Damn. Oh, dink.
A 4. Okay. Well, it does kind of fit, as you are not actually fighting here. You're watching. As the two begin their bout, you see they're not using, or at least Anscombe's not using the same sword you saw him using while you were out on your free agency. With your high investigation, and as he draws it, it is clearly blunted. They're not here to kill anybody.
No, I don't trust her. Does her weapon look sharp?
Why don't you roll another investigation for me as she draws her dagger and short sword?
If not nearly as good.
Pretty sure they're not as shiny as you'd expect them to be if they were sharp.
Okay.
So,
I don't know much about weapons.
It's hard to tell from here, is what you get. But almost immediately, as the fight begins, Lilith dashes forward toward Anscombe. And she begins making attacks. As she does, you watch as Anscombe is defending himself. Lilith is thrusting forward with short sword and dagger. She's making 2 attacks every round. And Anscombe is taking a very defensive posture. He's keeping the longsword out in front of him, and Lilith is wearing away at his guard, basically trying to sneak in stabs at the joints of his armor, but Anscombe is not falling for it. In the first round, Lilith does not get through Anscombe's defenses, and on Anscombe's turn, he also, when he decides to take an aggressive posture, he steps into Lilith in an attempt to knock her to the ground by tucking a foot behind her ankle. And he pushes, and she manages to acrobatically roll out of the way. And in that brief moment, she darts backward. Anscom makes an attack of opportunity that she deftly deflects as well. So the first round of combat goes by, and they seem evenly matched. What do you want to do? Anything here?
Not yet.
Okay.
I got something up my sleeve if I decide I need it.
Okay. The next round begins. Lilith is circling, and Anscom is matching her pace for pace. It looks as though Lilith is trying to read Anscom's motions. Why don't you roll me a perception check, as her back is to you at this moment?
Well.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Hey.
Sometimes that'll happen. On Lilith's turn, she will dart forward and try to attack again. Again, Anscom's defenses are just a little bit too good. And this time, when Lilith darts in to make an attack, Anscom uses a new tool he's developed. He parries. And you watch as he raises the hilt of the longsword, twisting the short sword back, and then raises up the pommel and just poof, bashes her upside the head with it. And as such, dealing the first blow in the sparring match. Lilith, knocked back by the defensive move, seems angry. Or at least from behind her, you can tell her shoulders heighten and she tenses up and she spits out a glob of blood onto the ground. You can see over her shoulder, Anscom just kind of has a, like, what else? That's Lilith's turn. Her attack failed. And now Anscom will rush forward, and he performs a feinting attack, which is turned away. This fight is going very close. It's very hard for either of them to get through their opposition's guard. However, it's also time for Lilith to use her own tool. And she tips past him as he misses, and she trips him. So Anscom, for the moment, falls prone. He spent 10 feet of movement on his engage, and he will get back up hastily in an attempt to avoid getting stabbed while he's on the ground.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah, you have. But as that happens, Lilith has changed places with him. And now you are facing where you can see Lilith. You see there is just a little bit of blood leaking down out of her lip. And you see she has kind of a smirk on her face. Why don't you roll an insight check?
Okay. Ah, just terrible.
Okay, 7. Is there anything you want to do here as we hit your turn
moving
again?
so fast. I'm waiting for her to do something I think it's cheap.
Cheap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just not above board. So I'm
Okay.
just like trying to keep up with all of the fast movements, and I'm not succeeding very well.
Yeah. You're doing your best, but the fight is happening very quickly. Lilith, like, waiting to see what Anscom does. You see she suddenly changes her tactic completely. She stands upright, her dagger up in an ice pick grip and her short sword out in front of her, and you hear her say something.
Yeah?
She says, "Shame you brought your girlfriend here just to watch you fail."
Oh, what a bitch.
I will see if that affected Anscom at all. It did.
Oh no,
Anscom got embarrassed.
he's green.
He is green. He's now slightly darker green. I'm going to give Lilith advantage on her attack.
Ugh.
See if one finally gets through. It does. As Anscom glances over his shoulder at you, suddenly Lilith darts forward with the dagger and flings it, and you just watch it right past his cheek. And he and she deals a small amount of damage to Anscombe because it is just a dagger, but well, let me roll that to be sure. Okay, she deals max damage with the dagger, so
Ow!
Anscombe takes 8 points of damage suddenly. Anscombe suddenly like recoils as the dagger bites into his cheek. It's a pretty hefty cut as the dagger blade managed to stick slightly in his jawbone and then fall out, and he just he kind of resets his shoulders, squaring up, and you see he kind of closes his eyes and focuses on the fight. And it's his turn.
Killer.
Kill her.
Killer.
Okay, Anscombe rolled a natural 19. Finally. So Anscombe, setting up himself, he closes his eyes, almost in an attempt to bait her. And as soon as she steps forward, he surges forward with his shoulder, slamming up into her and bringing the longsword up in a huge rising cut. This would be a grievous blow if it was a sharp weapon. Instead, the weapon acts more like a club, and you see Lilith get like knocked back and is slammed onto her back and is now prone.
Lorna lets out an audible like cheer before she puts her hand over her mouth. She doesn't want to interfere unless she feels she has to.
As Anscombe recovers from the swing and Lilith is on her back, she is deftly hurrying to get back onto her feet. Is there anything you'd like to do here?
Not yet.
Okay. As Lilith stands up, having just taken a blow that likely would have killed Lorna if it was a real swing.
Oh, for sure. Taking my head right off.
Lilith acrobatically kicks her feet up, and then she's back up onto her feet.
How's she looking?
Not great.
Oh yeah,
she's a little over half. These are fighters. They have a lot more hit points than you do. But still, that was a big hit. And as she stands up, you catch her hand quickly, just deftly flip, and the short sword toward Anscombe in a throw.
Ooh, the short sword?
The short sword. You can throw a short sword.
You can throw anything, but
you can. It's a feinting attack, which gives her advantage. And it hits. So as Anscombe has raised the longsword up into a back guard, you suddenly see him step back, and the short sword is sticking out of his shoulder. And with her second attack, Lilith will rush forward, and instead of using her dagger, she will use, just as flavor, she slams her hand into that short sword pommel.
Ow!
She does have to hit for that to matter. She did not. So, as she surged forward to try and hit the pommel of the short sword, Anscombe just swats her hand to the side and yanks the short sword out, casting it aside. And then you see Lilith, with the rest of her movement, roll and grab it off the ground. And now we are back to Anscombe's turn. He raises the longsword up over his head, and right before he swings it down, he steps forward and just plants a foot right in her chest to try and kick her backward. And it succeeds, so he deals 5 points of bludgeoning damage, and you watch as she's just picked up her longsword, and he catches her completely off balance, and she is shoved 10 feet away.
Nice.
And then as Anscombe has bought himself a reprieve, he will second wind, and
Thank
he heals
God.
himself a little bit. Do you do anything on this turn?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to ask you every time.
Yep.
As we get to Lilith's turn, she stands up tall, and you see that she sees what he does, and she wipes her own lip, and also second wins and recovers a little.
I was thinking she has that too.
Yes, she do. After a moment, when she recovers from her second wind and she still has her action, she says, "Gotten ballsy since the last. It's only been a day. Let's see if that sticks." And then she surges forward. Now, I'd like you to roll a perception check.
Mm-hmm. Come on. 15.
15. Let's see. Maybe you catch it. Ooh, 14.
Yes!
It's subtle, but you catch it. As she darts forward, her left hand, which was by her belt, opens near the ground, and you watch as just a handful of ball bearings just roll out onto the ground beneath his feet. He doesn't seem to notice. As she rises, she swings with the short sword. But it's not the sort of swing you would expect. It's with the pommel. She's rising up, trying to shove him back. And she hits. So, Anscombe...
Actually, hold on. I'd like to do a silvery barbs at this moment. It's just verbal, so she's gonna try to be subtle about it.
Okay. How do you say it? You are casting Silvery Barbs, which is a spell. So what do you say in this moment?
I'm trying to think.
To cause this hesitation in Lilith and a stealing of resolve in whoever it is you're giving advantage to. I'd imagine Anscombe, but you could give it to somebody else.
Give it to myself now. I give it to Lilith. Finish him.
Oh my.
I should have had something prepared. Lorna is just gonna say loud enough for Lilith to hear. Your cheap chicks won't save you when your opponent's better than you.
She just hears you. The magical reinforcement behind the words, making them catch. And just in that brief moment, she glances over at you. And I will roll again, as it implies disadvantage. That became a natural 1.
I want her to slip on her own ball bearings. I'm just saying. That's what I want.
I know that's what you want, but it's just...
Shit.
Hearing, and just that moment of her glancing over at you, Anscombe takes that moment to basically twist and pivot and step out of the way. And as such, he has advantage on the dexterity saving throw. So he does not fall prone, as he just rolled a 15. He steps out of the ball bearings, and he looks down and notices them, and glances back at you, and he just goes... and as Lilith's attack failed, and she is now here, Anscombe is going to attack with the longsword again. Because now she is...
my silvery barbs?
Yep. She is wide open for him. That's a natural 20.
Yes!
Okay. All right. So what happens is, as Anscombe steps back, stepping out of the ball bearings, Lilith is stumbling forward, and as her own foot catches the ball bearings, she just loses her balance just enough that she opens herself wide. And in that moment, Anscombe just full overhead swing of the longsword downward. Let me roll. That's... Oh my god, he just rolled a 10 on a d10. Plus 10.
I
so
told
he
him
deals,
to kill her.
He deals 24 points of damage in this swing.
That would have outright killed Lorna.
Lilith is unconscious.
Woo.
So in that blow, Anscombe brings the longsword up and just... And the blunted blade slams into the base of the neck right above the spine. And in that moment, Lilith just... is completely flat on the ground. And that is the end of the combat, as soundly as it can be. And in that moment, Illarad says, "The fight is over!" And you realize everyone has stopped to watch this bout.
I want to run up and give Anscombe a hug. I'm proud of him.
Okay. Anscombe is like stepping back, a little startled at the fact that he just one-shot Lilith. And as the longsword is dropped, like down to his side, you step in to hug him, and he just, thanks.
You're amazing.
I wouldn't have caught that without you. And there is just a moment of quiet as the entire fighter classroom sees Lilith is just completely spread eagle flat. Her dagger and short sword is cast to the side. And as Illerad steps up next to you both, so you're like up here now, Illerad steps over to you, and he says, "That was some mighty fine teamwork."
Sorry about that.
Is not ashamed to be assisted by allies. The sort of lesson I was trying to inform all of you on, as Illerad is looking around to the rest of the classroom. However, in these bouts, it is an effort for our fighters to improve on their personal fighting. That being said, the use of outside materials is also not something I generally approve of, as he is kicking ball bearings around on the ground. So in this case, I'd say you're about even. And at that moment, he leans down, and you watch as he pulls a healing potion out of his belt, and he rolls Lilith onto her back. Roll me a perception check.
Okay. All right.
20. You see that Lilith is not wearing... Like, Lilith is wearing standard studded leather Marigard gear. However, she has a choker that is not Marigard standard. And you spot on it a symbol of a noble house from Ceres.
What?
You spot House Noish, which is really well known. Not in Iron Gate, but in Silver's Reach.
How do you spell that?
Noish.
But she's from Trident.
That's what you think.
Ah!
You know this symbol, specifically you, from the sort of tutoring and lessons you learned when you were younger. You recognize this symbol, and it is alarming to see.
Lilith isn't familiar to me in any way.
Lilith is a pale tiefling with horns that are hewn, as in, like, she's had them cut, where she cut them herself. Roll me a history check.
13.
13. You're pretty sure House Noish are humans. You couldn't be sure. You'd need to check into it, but tiefling nobles are not common in Ceres. And as you're looking at that and you notice it, and Illerad feeds a potion to Lilith, she suddenly, her eyes open and she's all fury.
Ugh.
But she looks up at Anscombe from her seated position and she just says, "All right." She looks as though she is holding back words. And her eyes settle on you.
We give her a little finger wave.
Why are you here?
To watch a friend.
You see that she is looking between Illerad and Anscombe and you. And as Illerad is standing there, his massive arms folded, Lilith chooses not to say what she was likely about to say. Instead, she stands up, she recollects her weapons, and she looks at Anscombe, and you can tell that she doesn't want to say this, but she says, "Good fight." And Anscombe says, Yeah, it was a good fight. It was close. You know, there was a few times when she said, just shut the fuck up, and she walks away. And Anscombe, like, just sheathes the longsword and says, right, well, it was a good fight. And then he looks at you and he says, told you she was fast.
No, you weren't kidding. There's a lot more to her than I thought.
What you mean?
My initial impression was just different than how she turned out to be.
Anscombe looks a little confused, and Illarad says, so are you just here to meddle in my sparring sessions, or...
I mean, I thought maybe I could learn something because I'm not very good with my hands. So I feel like I definitely learned something. So, as far as the academy instructing students goes,
It is rare that a wizarding student shows any interest in the martial arts. Are you hoping to learn our ways, or are you just simply trying to expand your portfolio?
expand my portfolio. You can never know when you might find something useful.
Interesting. You see, Illarad is like looking at you and he's sizing you up.
I'm gonna try to look a little tougher. Stand a little straighter, lift my chin up.
What's your strength score?
At 11.
What's your dex score?
10.
Yeah, he doesn't seem impressed. He says, the strategy we follow is half the battle. The tactics we use, they are the real value of this training. Anyone can work to build their body. The Merigard teaches us how we build our mind. So, I respect that you come here to learn, and I am happy to share in my own knowledge with all of you. He gestures toward the back of the training room, where there are bookshelves and scrolls and the sorts of things. They're not nearly as, or like, just overstuffed as Tabernac's, and it's not nearly as complete a collection. But Illarad does say, we have our own magical influence that we include in our training to those who have the aspiration. Unfortunately, there are not many who come to my classroom hoping to also learn the ways of the arcane. You see there is a halfling in the corner of the room who says, Oi! Are you talking about me? And Elrod says, I forgot Golver. He is studying the magics, but he's not a student anymore. And Golver, this halfling, you see he is wearing Merigard attire, but it's not the student's attire. It looks worn, as though this individual has seen action, and a lot of it. And it's a breastplate over what look like leather jerkins and armor paddings. You've never seen someone in such armor also having books open and studying them. But you see he has a wand on the table next to him, and he's just like looking over at you. And he says, You could, talk to me instead of about me like I'm not here? And Elrod says, It's my mistake. Fuck. Yeah. Anyway, for the rest of class is just sparring and personal study, so... and he looks at Anscombe and says, Have you any other matches you intend to engage in, or are you off for the evening? And Anscombe looks at you, and he says, Lilith was really it. You got plans?
Is he asking me?
Yeah, Anscombe's talking to you.
If you don't mind, some books?
What do you mean?
I have a little bit of side work to do, but I don't mind your company.
Anscombe looks like he has no interest in books, and he's trying to figure out a way to politely say he'd rather go do something else.
You don't just want to spend time with me? Eyelash flutter.
Roll a persuasion?
Oh, damn. I was hoping for a natural 20.
An 11. Anscombe says, honestly, that fight took a lot out of me. I think
That's
I
what
need a
know.
drink.
I get it.
Okay.
Actually, wait, are you going to like a tavern?
Yeah, I was going to head to the Merry Guard. It's just up the road.
He's gonna, like, shuffle a little closer and say quietly,
I've never been to like a tavern before.
Oh. Oh, yeah, you want to come get a drink?
Sure.
You've never been to a tavern? At all? Anywhere?
No.
You see Anscombe kind of looks at you, and at this moment, you see Elorad go, okay, back. And he, like, starts dealing with the other students. And Anscombe says, I don't mind me. How old are you? Lorna?
20.
She says quickly.
He's inside checking you.
Perception?
Yeah. He rolled an 18.
I rolled a 25.
He says, okay, yeah, I'll show you around. It's really not far.
Had a little wine with dinner before, but nothing beyond that.
He looks at you and he says, you really didn't get out much, did you?
My father had some really specific ideas on how I should be raised.
Uh-huh.
Eh.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go get cleaned up, and then, because I'm sweaty and bloody and all that.
Yeah,
So.
no, I mean, it looks good on you, but if you want to get cleaned up, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take a bath. So I'll meet you out front, huh?
Sure.
Yeah, give me half an hour.
Yes.
And so Anscombe leaves the fighter classroom, leaving you here for a moment.
Lola's still here.
I was getting there.
Oh!
As you begin to head toward the door, Lilith seems to appear as if from nowhere. And she is looking at you. Not... Why don't you roll an insight check?
Okay.
10.
You don't know what she's thinking. You don't think she's going to attack you. But there's definitely some hostility there. And she says, I wish that would have been just me and him.
You forced my hand.
No, I didn't.
You did.
She is looking at you. And I need to know, are you trying to hide your Ceresian accent at all?
I honestly think, with how kind of personal and heated she is about her beef with Anscombe, I think she would probably let it slip and not think about it.
She's looking at you and her eyes kind of narrow and she says, you're not from around here.
Astute observation. Neither are you.
No. But I think maybe we might be from around the parts. The same place.
Is that so wrong?
She folds her arms and she looks at you and she says, that depends. Anybody know you're here?
Does anyone know you're here?
No.
Me neither.
She's inside checking you.
You're trying to find out.
She's trying to read if you're here like you're running or if you're here just quietly.
Okay.
It's 24.
She can glean from Lorna's expression that Lorna definitely doesn't want people to know she's here, but she feels confident that Lilith is in a similar circumstance. So she isn't worried.
Lilith kind of leans back on her heel a little bit. It seems as though her appraisal of you, maybe she saw something she wanted to see. Maybe she saw something that appealed to her. Because she smirks a little bit and she says, "Okay. I'll see you around."
I hope I do.
She turns and walks out the door.
Did she have a speaking pattern I was familiar with?
Roll history.
15?
She didn't have the typical drawl of someone from Silver's Reach. She had the cleaned up, almost posh pattern of someone who was from Port Sanctuary.
Okay.
So,
Is that where I know the Noish family is located?
that previous history check you rolled for the Noish family, you don't know.
Okay.
You'd have to research them.
I'm gonna.
Okay, you don't have
I'm
to.
gonna. I'm gonna DM.
Anyway. What do you do?
She's gonna go wait for Anscombe.
Okay.
She's gonna go embarrassingly early. She knows that he has like 30 minutes, but she took like 5 minutes for that conversation with Lilith, and she's just gonna stand up by the gate, like, waiting for him.
Okay, roll me a perception check.
Okay. 16?
There is another individual here, out front. It is not Anscombe. You
Even though
see,
I see.
you don't see him yet. You see standing near a tall oak tree out front in front of the Marigard Academy. The tall, slender figure in robes of Halliwell Halatheth.
Oh.
He is near the oak tree, and you see he is looking up into it, and he has a wand in his hand, and it seems as though, based on his posture and gesticulations, he is struggling with something. He's too
I'll
far
go up to
away
him.
for you to specifically hear what he's saying.
I'm going up to him.
As you approach, you hear him mutter under his breath, "Come on, you blasted squirrel, just listen, you and he, like, drops the wand down to his side, and he's still looking up in the tree. And you see now that when you're getting closer, there are a number of squirrels up in this oak tree, and one of them has, like, cheeks full and is looking down at Halliwell, expectantly.
Hello, Halliwell.
Do not sneak up.
I promise you I didn't.
I'm distracted. Sorry. Hello. Good evening, Lorna. How are you? And you see he, like, tucks the wand away. You see his other hand is full of acorns.
I appear to be doing better than you. What are you up to?
I am attempting to speak with that creature, and it's not going well. For some reason, my spell is not taking, and it is frustrating, to say the least.
Is speak with animals? Is that what you're attempting?
Yes. Yes. He begins rubbing his face.
Not like a new spell, but like the pre-existing.
Yes, I've been trying to get a hang of the thing. Tabernacle said I need to expand my horizons and be more in touch with the world around me. So I figured if I could speak with a creature that I found in the wild, I realize this is not the wild, but it was better than just the library where I'd been reading all day. I thought maybe it would be a good start.
What seems to be the problem?
I don't know. The spell's not taking. And you see this squirrel is just...
Hastily.
Yeah.
Can I see the spell?
Yeah. And he pulls out his spell book, and he shows you Speak with Animals.
Can I attempt to cast it?
Roll an Arcana check.
21.
Yeah, you can attempt to cast Speak with Animals. It'll take a first level spell slot.
All right.
You cast Speak with Animals on this squirrel, I assume, unless you're doing it on something else.
Yeah, it's the squirrel.
Okay, hold on. As the spell says, you gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the duration, which lasts 10 minutes. This squirrel, as you've cast the spell, you're confident you cast the spell.
Okay.
What do you say?
I'll look at Halliwell and I'll just pluck an acorn from his hands.
When you're reaching for one, he'll yes, here, and you have an acorn.
She'll walk up to the base of the tree and hold out the acorn and look up at the squirrel and say,
Would you like another?
Roll a persuasion.
13?
The squirrel, whose cheeks are full of nuts at the moment, you watch as it just like another acorn or walnut or some sort of nut is in its hands, and it just is like chewing on it. You don't know if it heard you or not. You don't know if it understood you.
I only know how to appeal to animals with food.
You see Halliwell is just like, you see, they don't seem to care, and that is completely arbitrary as to what I thought the spell was supposed to do.
I suppose maybe you did cast it correctly and they just don't want any nuts. I know, I'm a little baffled too. That it doesn't make sense to me.
Halliwell's like brows furrow, and he says, "Well, that's completely inconvenient. What am I supposed to do with that?"
I know. I'm a little baffled too. Excuse me, can you just come down here? I want to have a conversation.
Roll another persuasion check.
17. That's a lot better.
17. Okay. When you say that, the squirrel puts down the nut neatly on the branch and then runs down the trunk of the tree until it is seated on the grass in front of you.
Hey, we're getting somewhere. Thank you, she'll say to the squirrel, and she'll look at Halliwell and say, You've cast a spell? Ask him a question. Just to make sure it works.
Halliwell's looking at you and he says, "You were speaking common just now."
Is that weird?
Well, I don't know. From what I understood, I thought I wish I understood the spell better. I thought you were supposed to speak in the language of the creature, so the fact that you just spoke as if you were speaking to me doesn't really...
Makes sense.
at all, actually.
Okay, just try to say something to him. If he understands you, it works, and we'll go from there.
And you see Halliwell kind of leans down awkwardly as someone who didn't know how to speak to a child would.
Yeah, I get
And
that.
and says, "Hello, Miss Squirrel." And the squirrel is just sitting there looking up. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't seem to react. Just head kind of.
Still.
Yeah. And Halliwell looks at you and at the squirrel and says, "How are you?" And the squirrel just looks around, head bobbing as it sniffs. "I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And as he struggles, suddenly the squirrel stops being a squirrel, and you see there is a green dragonborn seated on the ground, just like with a mild, like a slightly amused look on her face. And she says, "I don't speak squirrel."
Oh my god.
And you can see that for the moment, Halliwell goes, "Oh, thank the gods! I thought I was just a moron." And the Dragonborn just kind of says, "No, that was maybe a little." And as she's seated there, her legs are kind of sprawled out. This is what she looks like. And as she has a small smirk on her face, she says, "I'm Saskia."
It's nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
You were a squirrel.
I was.
That's some pretty advanced magic.
No, it's pretty simple, really. Folly told me to practice.
Oh, you were you're a druid student.
Told me to try acting in the typical nature of the creature I was behaving as. So I found some squirrels, shifted to a squirrel, and how I was like, and then I saw you in the tree and attempted to speak with you. In which case, I stood here blathering like an idiot for like 30 minutes.
You've nailed a squirrel's apathy brilliantly, Saskia.
She's like smiling. And as you hear, like, are witnessing this, and Saskia and Halliwell begin to have a conversation where Halliwell says, "I am so sorry. I yelled at you for being a squirrel and weren't listening. I didn't know you could understand me, or if you did understand me, I didn't realize that you could comprehend it." And as that's happening, you hear footsteps behind you, and you see Anscombe approaching, and he says, "Hey, you ready to go?"
Yes, yes, I am so ready to go and be away from here.
"Great." And you see he's like looking at this. So now that you have a moment to step back and look, this Dragonborn is dressed in like hides that look like they have not been tended to for a long time.
Ugh.
She is very feral looking, but she's also like smiley, and it's very awkward. And you see that she's just like grinning at Halliwell as he is frustrated and confused. And as the two of you leave, you see Halliwell begin to gesticulate more as he is trying to express his frustrations. And the two of you head toward the Merry Guard.
I hope they become friends.
Anscombe, as you're leaving, says, "What was that all about?"
It's a really dumb story, and I wasted magic on it, so I'm a little upset about that.
"Oh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but your magic was... well, it helped. So, keep that shit around, I guess."
Well, I'll try to get some of my stores back while we're, I suppose, having fun. Otherwise, I'm a little bit useless, so hopefully nothing bad happens.
You see Anscombe, like, looks down at you and says, useless, that might be a stretch.
Mm.
As you are heading down the street, the large structure that is the Merry Guard Tavern suddenly appears on your right. And you probably noticed this building before, however, you never went inside, and it is uproarious with the sounds of business and people conversating, jokes being told, laughter being had, and music being played. And as you stop outside of it, Anscombe says, "Here's the place. You've never been in a tavern before, so
No, how does it work? Do you just go in? Do they seat you?
no, you just grab a table, or you can sit at the bar. It depends. Are you trying to get fucked up, or you just want to have a good time?"
She looks a little abashed at his crass phrasing. My sensibilities. And she'll,
Getting the
oh,
vapors.
getting the vapors.
Okay.
And she'll say, maybe start slow.
Yeah.
I've had a couple sips of wine.
Oh yeah, you mentioned you've only ever. Okay. Yeah, we'll take it easy. And he waves you forward. And as you enter the Merry Guard Tavern, it is a huge structure. It is busy. There are people laughing and talking, and there are people serving drinks and food all around at any of the various tables. And as you enter, a golden dragonborn looks at both of you and just nods.
This is part of the process.
Yeah, she's just the bouncer. Just follow
What's
me.
a bouncer? Okay.
Oh, if someone gets too drunk and they're causing problems, she kicks them out.
Oh, that happens often.
It.
Enough to warrant a position, I suppose.
Yep.
Hmm.
And he leads the way farther back until you get to a table that is a little secluded, not in the middle of everything that's going on. And the most buxom dwarven barmaid you've ever seen walks up to the table and says, "Hey there, you two. Could I get you anything?" And Anscombe says, "She's new, so can we get a menu for her? And I'll just take an ale." And as the woman nods and she leaves to go get a menu, I will post a menu for you here in the foundry. But first I have to... Come on. Oh. Hold on. Let me find it.
Zenskam wearing his armor.
No. No, he's not.
Ooh, dressed out.
He's just wearing comfortable traveling clothes, basically. Linen shirt, linen trousers. Hold on a second here. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, and then one more. Sorry, I thought I had this ready and I did not. Just a brief moment here. Got it. Okay. As the dwarven woman comes back and she sets down a pair of menus in front of you. Oh, come on. Foundry just making me go through all sorts of hoops here. There is the beverage list.
Ah. Wow, all of these words I've never heard.
As you're
I know
looking
what
at it,
wine is.
here's the food menu. And Anscombe's kind of leaning back as the woman sets down a mug of ale, and he says, "If you need help, I know some of the stuff. I can probably help, but
Pick something that you think I'd like.
he orders you. What does he order you? I'll roll for it."
Yeah, we made a whole menu. That's adorable.
He orders you the Piercing Wagon Porter, which
Okay.
is it's a sweet ale. So, uh, when the drinks do come, and Anscombe is drinking his own, and you are witnessing and experiencing your drink for the first time. Anscombe is like watching you drink it, and he is eager to see if your character likes it or not. Does Lorna like ale?
That's a good question. The player herself doesn't drink.
Right.
Hmm. I'm gonna say yeah.
Okay. As
She
she
kind of
drinks
likes
it,
how it makes her feel less tense than she normally feels all the time.
sure. The sweet flavor of this particular ale and the immediate just lightening of the anxiety and the pressure, it feels good. It feels relaxing. And as you drink it, Anscombe is drinking his own. He just kind of smiles and he says, "It takes the edge off, doesn't it?"
I could see why people make this a problem.
Well, you don't want to go too far, but it can always be fun to let loose every once in a while.
Warren, I feel like this is a day we can celebrate.
Yeah, you helped me beat the hell out of Lilith.
No, you beat the hell out of Lilith. End statement. Whether I helped you or not, that last hit, whew, that would have killed me.
Well, that's why we do what we do, right? Like, you learn the magic to protect yourself, and I don't have the mind for that, but I do have, the arms to swing a sword, so that's why I practice what I do.
I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit for the thought process that goes into your fighting. Illerad said so himself.
Okay. I don't have the patience to study the books to do what you do. How's
But
that?
you're still learning in your own way.
Can you stop complimenting me for a second?
Uh, no? Why are you flustered?
He takes a huge drink.
A good answer.
As he's drinking, what were you going to say?
Don't keep going.
As he's drinking, you suddenly hear heavy footsteps next to you, and you look over, and sliding into the booth next to you is Sigona.
Hey, now it's a party.
As she arrives, she looks at you and says, "Well, I'll be damned. I thought I saw your pretty face from across the bar.
I'm so glad you could join us.
You couldn't keep me away." And as Anscombe sets the mug down, he says, "Have we? I don't remember." "No, you were at the mess hall, yes." And Skona says, "I knew you couldn't forget a face like mine." And Anscombe says, "Well, you're not wrong about that." And Sigona looks at you, and she just, smiles wide, and she says, "Told you I'm gorgeous."
I never doubted you for a second. I have my own eyes, of course.
"Ne'er be praised." And she takes a huge drink.
I mean, I was planning on doing this with you, Anscombe. I don't mind if Sigona watches. That sounded so strange.
And she's gonna quickly
Sig-
take out the bag of holding that she
And
bought.
Sigona, is, looking over the mug and says, "Oh,
I'm so
this
sorry.
took a turn."
I didn't mean...
She puts the bag of holding on the table. She looks at him and she says,
We bought this together, and I haven't actually looked inside it.
That shitty bag you got from That was just from the secondhand store. What do you mean you haven't looked inside it?
Well, sometimes people leave. Uh, they forget about things that they've had, like this bag, for
Okay.
example. There might be something worthwhile in here, and I wanted, since we bought it together, whatever it is, if there's anything.
This is a really weird way. What do you? It's
I'm
just a
sorry,
bag.
I'm really bad at this. She's gonna open it and just dump out whatever's in it, if there's anything in it, onto the table.
Okay. So the bag of holding that you purchased that no one else knew was a bag of holding,
Mhm.
you turn it out. So first, I need you to roll me a d2.
Slash D2?
Mm-hmm. Well, slash r space d2.
Oh, how cute, it's a little coin.
There is something in the bag of holding.
Yes.
Roll me a d4.
4.
Roll me a d100.
91. It's not something enormous.
Huh. Okay. That is interesting. Okay. Hold on a second. I need to look this thing up. Hold on.
Okay.
Uh-huh. All right, roll me another D100.
96.
Yes.
Okay. Roll me a D4.
Sorry to interrupt. Denise wants me to let you guys both know the dinner is supposed to be at 5.
I knew that.
I'm just passing on the message.
Okay.
1.
1. Okay. Roll me another D100.
69.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Roll me a D10.
Oh, that's D12. Hold on. There we go. 9.
Okay. Roll. Roll a D4.
3.
Okay. That is interesting. All right, so last thing. I need you to roll one more die. I need you to roll me a D100.
85.
Huh. This has been a very peculiar. Okay, so you rolled.
Uh-huh.
As you turn the bag upside down, only one item falls out. A necklace thuds onto the table in front of you, and it gleams with red beads all around it.
Red beads. Okay.
Red beads.
So just plops out into the table and she's kind of shakes it again to see if anything else comes out.
Nothing else in there.
Well, I was right there. There was something in it.
Anscombe's looking down and it says, Doesn't look like much.
Well,
It's a little
let's not be
shiny.
too hasty here. Things can be deceiving. She's gonna pull out her spellbook and ritually cast Identify.
Okay, so this takes a while.
Just talk amongst yourselves. It'll just take a second.
Sagona is already talking to Anscombe about something. You're not really paying attention because you're focusing on the ritual. But it sounds like a sporting event.
Sure, no.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to you. But as you are, I can't believe you. This is crazy. Like, I'll tell you what it. Okay.
You have to tell me what it is. I'm casting Identify.
It is a necklace of fireballs,
Oh,
but there's more to it.
okay.
More to it that seems to resist the Identify.
Okay. And I understand that there's more to it.
Yeah. There's not a curse, but it seems as though there is something reacting to your spell.
But I know what I know what a necklace of fireballs does.
You know what a normal necklace of fireballs does, yeah. It lets you hurl the bead as a fireball. And a necklace of fireballs has a limited number of uses. But every bead that you throw is like casting fireball, and a typical necklace of fireballs has 9 casts.
How many are on this one?
It looks like there are. It's mostly like a finely wrought, reddish gold necklace that has 5 large red beads on it.
Okay.
The thing that is odd to you is that the beads on this necklace of fireballs are not perfectly round.
Okay.
They're also not perfectly hung on the necklace like you would expect a bead to be. The red gold that kind of interlaces into each bead, it almost reminds you of like how a grape would grow on a vine.
Okay. So after she does that, she'll shut her book and very delicately pick it up.
Okay.
She'll look at both of them and say, "This is very dangerous."
When you say that, Anscombe's looking at you and he says, "It's a necklace."
Yes, it's a necklace that stores powerful explosive energy. And that would turn this tavern into ash.
Oh. Maybe be careful with that.
No, that's the plan. She's gonna put it around her neck.
Okay. Before anything else, Rusagona says, "And where'd you get it?"
Came out of this bag.
Huh. Okay. Hold on a second here. I need to read. Okay. You put it around your neck.
Mm-hmm.
You hear.
Oh God. It's sentient.
It's a sentient item.
Oh my God.
That's why I'm so amused right now. You random rolled a sentient item with its own motivations.
Oh my God.
You hear. Oh. Well, hello there.
So Lorna will just freeze, and it's not a voice she's heard before.
No.
Okay, so she's not thinking it's someone sending to her because she's had those before.
No, this is not sending at all.
Mm-hmm.
You hear it only in your mind, and you can tell because it's like an echoing sound.
She'll pause and then reply mentally. Hello. Who do I owe the pleasure?
That's a good question. I'm not really certain how long it's been or where I am, but it looks like you and we have work to do at some point. We have a destiny to fulfill.
This is a very intense first meeting, sir.
It's true. A long time ago, someone called me Saccharin.
Saccharin. How do you spell that?
S-A... Hang on. S-A-C-C-H-A-R-I-N-E.
Saccharin. A long time ago. Do you remember the last year it was?
There's like a long pause. Last time I saw light of day, it seems as though whatever this entity is, you're getting a wave of emotional confusion, and you hear, what year is it now?
I don't know. I'll tell him.
It's 6071.
Okay. It's 6070. 6071?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I say.
That doesn't make sense. It's been 600 years.
Okay, it's been 600 years. Were the gods around when this person was put in this thing?
You don't think so?
Well, we have a lot of catching up to do for you.
Well, okay, but first, like, where are we? I don't
don't know.
recognize this place. I don't remember.
You can see?
Yeah, I can see there's a half-orc in front of us. There's a dwarf to your left.
Can you see me?
I can. I can see your chin.
Oh. She's actually going to take the necklace off, but still hold it and kind of look at it.
Oh, you're beautiful.
Well, you're a very polite necklace.
Thanks. All right. Well, I had a very important task to do before we went to the dark. Do you know who Lucius Toloi is?
Do I?
Roll a history check. This DC is very high.
No, I have no idea.
No, you have
Lucius
no clue.
Toloi. Lucius Toloi. I don't, I'm sorry.
I get the feeling I'm not anywhere near where I used to be.
Where did you used to be?
On the front line. I was used to fight undead. Every day. It's been a long time.
In this form? Or were you something else?
There's a long pause, and then you hear, I was always this form.
You weren't a person?
Well, that's a little rude of you, don't you think?
I'm sorry. It's not every day I encounter jewelry that speaks to me.
Look, I don't know who you are. I don't know where we are.
My name is Lorna, and we're in Farron.
I don't remember. I don't recognize that name.
Aurelia?
Aurelia? Oh, shit. We're across.
Are you from Sarah's?
Of course I am.
That's where I'm from.
Then why are we here?
I'm I'm studying to become a wizard.
The walls just fell and you're over here studying?
It's been 600 years.
Say-
Sacred.
okay.
The War of the Dead is over, if you're wondering.
There's a long, quiet pause. And you realize Anscombe and Sagona are now looking at you as you've gone through an emotional roller coaster of reactions. And as you're holding this necklace out, Anscombe says, "Is everything all right?"
Wizard things. I'm just gauging its capacity of magic.
Roll a deception check as both of them are insight checking you.
15?
Okay, hold on.
I'm totally wrong. This is wizard things.
Okay. Sagona sees right through you. Anscombe seems as though he has no idea. But before Sagona can say anything, the dwarven waiter appears, and she sets down a great big platter of these just enormous slices of sweet potato wedges. And Sagona said, "Oh, fantastic. I was starving." And she immediately picks up one of them and starts just gnawing on it. It seems as though she was immediately distracted from that insight check. And Anscombe's looking between her and you, and then he says, "Okay, they smell amazing, so..."
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm just finishing up here.
He starts to eat them, and they do smell absolutely fantastic.
I'll actually take one and nibble on it.
Okay. They are fried in cottonseed oil, and they have like this mustard sauce with them
Ooh.
that sounds like the smell is robust, but the sweetness of the potato cuts right through it, and it is just, they're delicious and crispy. And if you eat a whole one, you get 3 temporary hit points.
I take it.
Okay. As you are eating the sweet potato wedge, and you are attuned to saccharin, you hear, "Oh, that tastes quite nice. Okay."
You can taste it through me?
It's not like I'm eating it, but it's like a hint of it.
This is fascinating. You know, you're actually not the first entity I've spoken with recently who's from a very long time ago.
What you mean?
She's gonna pat the seat next to her so that Requiem can hop up.
Okay. Requiem does. You hear Saccharin say, "Is that an undead? Is that a ghost?"
Oh no, he's my familiar. So we have a contract. He's not. He's a good boy. He's a really good boy.
Roll a persuasion.
Oh boy. I totally forgot that he was apparently an implement used against undead. 15?
Okay. Before Saccharin can reply, you hear Requiem say, "Master, there is a new entity in your aura."
Great. I'm just a carriage of people, aren't I?
What does that mean?
There's a person in the necklace, Requiem.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. Weird, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Should
Well,
we be concerned? Does it need to be destroyed? Should we perhaps seek Tabernacle?
That's not a bad idea, but I don't think he's bad. Zachary, can you hear him?
This conversation in my head. Because it's
Can
like
I
a three-way
hear-
call.
Can I hear what? You're familiar?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, you could taste what I taste, so I just,
You kind of get this wave of confusion.
I'm right here with you, Zachary. I don't know what's going on either. Hold that thought. She's gonna put a couple potato wedges in front of Requiem and say, "All yours."
Are you certain?
Oh yes.
The image of the ghost dog leaning forward and turning its head to eat the potato wedges off the
Oh my
table.
God.
There is kind of this sound of a ghostly as
Oh, that's a little terrifying.
it's a little scary. And Anscombe is going, just watching as Requiem consumes one of the potato wedges, but you hear, "This is delicious.
I thought you'd like it.
I really do."
Keep
As
eating.
the food seems to go somewhere. We still don't know where.
We still haven't solved that problem yet.
But Requiem, you see a semblance, like a memory, of a wagging tail
Oh no, he's so cute.
as Requiem remembers what it's like to eat something delicious. He does. And on top of all of these conversations going on in your head, and the almost sensory overload going on in the tavern right now, you suddenly hear, cutting through it all,
Oh.
a voice that you dread to hear whenever it appears. Lorna. Just checking in. I see you're with unusual company. Making friends. Good. Progress?
Give me 1 second so I can type this out.
Okay.
Okay, Lorna will reply. Just the color leaves her face, so she doesn't mask that because she doesn't have the time to at the table. And she replies with, "Hello, Master. Excellent progress. Making my own spells now, and skilled allies." There's a long pause, and then she finishes with, "Do you have any information on my father?"
There is a pause. And you hear, I heard he has been ravenously searching. Fruitlessly. It's fun to watch. I also heard you've met an accomplice of mine. She seemed impressed.
Lorna will. She'll have that image of Lilith in her mind. Do you want me to communicate on a more personal level with this accomplice?
There is another short pause. And then she says, if you wish, but I'll be visiting in a month, so we can touch base then. Keep working. Do you just
l-
scream?
no, Lorna's reply will be her only reply will be, "Yes, master."
Okay. And at that moment, as the sounds of the tavern return, and Anscombe and Sagona, they've both been served new drinks, and the potato wedges are nearly gone. They both are looking at you as you've gone completely white face. And Sagona says, Perhaps that necklace is best kept in the bag, huh?
Oh, oh, it's fine. This is actually a very useful tool, and I want it on hand if anything bad happens.
Are we going after undead anytime soon? That's why I was created, and there's never a shortage.
Um, Inwardly, she will reply to Sakharin. I have a lot of history to catch you up on, and I will do so when I return to my private quarters, if you don't mind the wait.
I've been waiting for centuries.
This will be less, I promise.
All right.
And she'll put the necklace back on.
Okay. Anscombe looks concerned. He's just watching you as he's not drinking, and he has been taking in the emotional roller coaster that's gone across your face. And he says, Are you all right?
Yes.
Yes, I would love another one of these. And she points to her empty mug. Actually, maybe two. Excuse me. Just
Okay.
flag down the waitress.
Yeah. The same and ridiculously buxom dwarven barmaid comes by
Good. Excellent.
and provides you with the ale you've asked for.
Lorna is gonna do her best to just put an entire one away.
Roll con save.
5.
A 5.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you drink an
She's
entire
rattled.
tankard of ale quickly, coughing a little bit as you pull away from it. It is mostly drained, and as you do, as like the coughing almost triggers it, the room is spinning. You are drunk.
Do I feel better?
It's up to you.
I think everything that was kind of pressing down on her feels like it's further away. Like she's in a different place now.
Okay.
She's just gonna lean against Anscombe's shoulder with her other full one, and she's gonna be like, "This is excellent."
I'm glad you're having fun.
I haven't had fun yet, so, pick up yours, and you, Sagona, you as well. And we will pretend that we've never been sad.
Sagona says, Yeah, cheers to that. But Anscombe's looking down at you and he says, Okay, maybe you have had enough.
I bought this, so I'm gonna finish it.
That's fair. And as you drink another mug of ale, I need you to make another con save at disadvantage.
Oh, a natural 1.
And a 2.
Mhm.
As you
So
drink,
3.
you quickly drink this next mug of ale. You're not used to alcohol. Your body's not used to the intoxicant flowing through your body. And as the room is swimming, the corners of it tunneling and darkening, Anscombe's shoulder is extremely comfortable.
Yeah.
And as you lean back, you press your back flat against the back of the booth, and you fall unconscious. And as everything that just happened, the strange new sentient item that you just rolled,
I just got so many fucking voices
You
in my
do?
head.
that is where we're going to stop today's session.
Oh my god, how fucking terrifying.
A month.
A month. So you rolled a neutral sentient magic item, neutral aligned, that is a destiny seeker.
Oh,
So
God.
it is convinced that you and it have key roles to play in the future.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's what you rolled, Pen.
And it's against undead.
And it's against undead.
And that's literally a constant presence in Lorna's life.
Constant. I can't believe you rolled that. Okay.
Mm.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Lorna's story as it gets more and more ridiculous.
Pray for me.
Next session we will find out just what's going to happen to Lorna and her
Only bad
wizarding
things.
studies as she passes out at her first experience at the Merry-Guard. Which, to be
Yeah.
fair, a
At
lot
least I have
just
friends
happened.
with me. At least I have friends with me.
It's
And
true.
they'll carry me home, hopefully.
Hopefully. Thank you for playing.